What's up, y'all? We are back with the 0 Hour, and it is a recap episode here. Tim Lloyd joined by my man Jeff Hobbs. Jeff, we've got Aries 7 in the books, so we're going to do recap and reactions episode today for the people. Before we get into that, if you would do us the biggest favor of liking this bad boy and subscribing to the 0 Hour podcast, so you get notifications every time we post new material, fights from the aforementioned Aries 7 going up daily here on the channel. So, you know, if you want to see what the hell we're talking about, you can catch these fights on the channel here. A lot of good action. Jeff, we're getting ready to roll into a very busy month of June. Before we get rolling into this recap, fill the folks in on what we got coming up, where they can watch it, where they can get their tickets, all that good shit.
Yeah, man. Just I guess in about a little over 3 weeks, June 3rd, we are right back at the world famous Cotton Eye Joe. As always, you can go to fightertix.com. That's tix.com for your tickets. We do still have, I think, a few tables available right now. But man, I'm telling you, you can't get a better GA seat than you can at the Joe, because you can get right up on the rail right next to the action. So after that, June 11th, we are headed back to Camp Jordan Arena, Chattanooga, East Ridge, Tennessee, for a big arena show there. If you went to the last one, Aries 6, I don't even have to tell you that you better hurry up and start getting your tickets now for that, especially if you want those VIP tables. Again, fightertix.com for that one. And what we got next? June 18th, man, big co-pro again. We did round 1 in Macon, Georgia, with NFC hosting. This time, round 2, like I said, second verse, same as the first. We are going to be there with NFC and Conflict. Conflict is hosting this one. We'll be in Augusta, Georgia. Tim, you'll have to remind me where their tickets are for that.
Man, you catch the link on all of our pages, but Conflict MMA has got all the best information. So you get your tickets through the Conflict MMA sites, and that one, I'm excited for that card. Jared has done a really nice job on this one. We got the pro debut of Malcolm Wellmaker against Austin Carter, a guy that we saw fight Avamai up here a couple months back. That's going to be a really nice fight, and then several other really solid names. So excited for that, and excited for June as we get ready to roll into a very busy summer. Let's get to this recap. Of course, Aries 7, they went down this past Friday, May the 6th, from the world famous Cotton Eye Joe. A little different setup this time we had with the Yin Yang twins coming in after us. So we were able to take advantage of some staging and try a few different things. As far as the show itself, I thought overall a fairly solid night of fights. We had a lot of the fights that we expected to deliver did deliver. And let's jump into it, man. We opened up, of course, with a couple juniors fights. It was Mason Dockery of NKI winning a unanimous decision over Dominic Kikarovich from Modern Gladiator at a juniors tie fight at 185 pounds. Bigger kids than you typically see in these juniors matches. These guys really went for it. It was unanimous decision for Dockery. Looks like 29-28, 29-28, 30-27. I would I'm okay with all those scores, actually. I probably go 29-28 here. It seemed like Kikarovich was really coming on in that third round, landing some leg kicks that were really starting to affect Mason Dockery. And it looked like he may have tweaked his knee or his ankle or something right before all that stuff. So I thought Kikarovich may have taken that third round. Mason Dockery, man, he's got some to be a young buck, he's salty. If you watch that, I watched it back. I didn't notice it first, but he'll lead with his head a lot. He'll come in kind of headbutting you, and if the referee's not going to call it, then you just keep on rolling with that. And it was actually kind of effective. Your thoughts on this first one? Two solid 17-year-olds that will soon be 18 and moving into MMA. A good amount of experience coming out of this fight with them getting all the rounds. According to the McMahons over at NKI, Mason Dockery, a very decorated wrestler as well. So once he gets ready for MMA, it'll be interesting to see how he fares.
Yeah, you're right. Both these junior fights, when all four of these guys came to the cage, I was like, okay, this is not our typical juniors here. But yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with the scores of the winners, but 30-27 might be a little bit of a stretch for me. But I will say I think the scores don't indicate how game Dominic Kikarovich was. If you weren't really watching the fight to score it, you were just watching it for entertainment purposes, I guarantee you would kind of feel that it was a lot closer than 30-27. But man, both these guys were just like so professional at such a young age too. Like they were about their business. Kakarevich, definitely. I talked to him before the show, and um, like I said, they carry themselves really well. But I did notice, like you did too, the leading with Ed, which that's what kind of made me laugh because when I watched it too, I was thinking dude's a little beyond his years
Yeah.
working the system there, and especially with the juniors having headgear, he probably thought this is a safe move too. So.
Mm-hmm.
As always, when we start the fights, especially when these kids come, they usually bring it, and this one was no different.
Second bout, also juniors tie. This one slightly smaller, 165 pounds. We had Lee Brown representing Shield Systems as he defeated Brian Ortiz of Mushindo Marietta by unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. That's how I had it as well. Man, Brown is 6'3".
Yeah.
And
smaller, but definitely taller.
Yeah, 6'3" and 165 pounds. Still not even 18 years old. That was his first fight. And I thought he looked very technical, as one would expect coming out of Shield Systems. Used his reach and his length very well. Ortiz, impressive in that that kid never stopped coming, man.
Yeah.
He didn't stop going for it. Only 14 years old, very tough. And so that was his first loss. He'd actually won one on another show a couple of weeks before. So he came in at 1-0 sanction, but according to him afterward, Jeff, he had quite a bit more experience than that even. He had a good bit more experience than Brown, honestly, coming in even at a younger age.
Yeah, he was salty in a different way. He was not happy with the outcome of that fight. Not at the promotion. I think he was just pissed all around that he lost the fight, which showed just I almost didn't want to talk to him afterwards when he came up for his travel check because he was mad as hell.
He was mad.
He was mad.
We cracked him a little bit towards the
end. Yeah, and I like to think he was just mad because he was just competitive. And the thing was, Brian Ortiz brought it this entire fight. The only problem I saw was it was nonstop, but it was for just small sections of the round. 15, 20 seconds, just rapid fire. And would bring it, but then it was done, And then he gave Lee too much time, like you said, to use his range, use the teep kick,
that front kick to the body.
Use that teep kick to keep him at bay, and just use that long, rangy body for the majority of the round. But when Ortiz, brought it to him, he brought it. And if he had just been able to kind of sustain that for 2 full minutes, we probably would have seen a different outcome from that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see both these kids back, and I imagine it won't be too long till Brown is moving on to the adult class, and he's going to have some dimensions that give anyone problems. That said, I don't think he cut a whole lot of weight to get to this 165 weight. So I don't know if 55 is within range or not. It looks like he's got a whole lot to lose off
not
of
much
there.
But, yeah, not much there to shave off.
If this kid makes 155, you're looking at a Luis Pena type dimensions here. And so that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Moving on, we moved to the adult portion of the card. It was Ian Knight of NKI picking up his first win by first round TKO, minute 46 seconds in over Trip Hallman. The first time for Trip representing the Academy of Martial Arts. The Trip drops to 0-2. Ian Knight moves to 1-1, and I believe the McMahons were saying that Ian will be moving on to MMA now. That he's gotten his kickboxing win. This was, of course, at 145 pounds. Knight was a guy that we were impressed by, even in his loss to DeAndre Hill the first time, just because he was so tough and kept coming forward. We got the same type fight out of him here. Hallman not quite durable enough to take the shots. Tripp's a guy that obviously has got some power himself to give, but at the same time, just a little stiff out there. I thought he was it's very hittable, I guess is the most the best word I can use to describe it. Tripp's is the guy that's gonna kind of like take one to give one. And in this game, you can't take too many of those and just like keep coming. So Tripp, I think a minute 46 seconds in, almost got through that first round, but it was Ian Knight getting to 1-1. I wouldn't mind seeing Tripp moving back to MMA at this point. Honestly, that's just my take. I know he was trying to get the kickboxing experience out here, but I think he needs to be able to tie up with guys. He needs to be able to have those moments of those transition moments where he can kind of like say stall so much, but like get his bearings back.
They're just be able to revert to something else. When you're just dealing with this one discipline, there's nothing for you to revert back to. There's no backup plan. There's no, like you said, the tie up or let's get this to the ground for a little while. He just doesn't have the best defensive posture. He's very upright and erect, and his defense is to chin up and lean back, and it's just not a very good defensive posture when someone's trying to punch you in the face. But like you said, if he could duck under punches and grab for single, double legs, things like that, try to get the fight to another level, that might suit him a little better right now.
Ian Knight, I believe, will be moving to 135 according to his team. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in MMA. We've seen him in the kickboxing and see if he can grapple or not. Rounding out the preliminary portion of the card, Joseph Hishma, Shield Systems, moves to 2-0 now in MMA as he knocks off Chris Hendrick by a first-round TKO about a minute, 10 seconds in. Ground and pound to strikes in a featherweight affair. Hishma, hopefully, we will see in a very quick turnaround coming over to June the 3rd. Hopefully, we can announce his fight this week. But if this one settles in like we believe it will, hell of a fight we'll have for June the 3rd, as Hishma will see his toughest opposition to date if we can get that worked out. Chris Hendrick, Chris Hendrick's the guy that hit us up on the Facebook page, man. We get a lot of these. We get a lot of guys that reach out wanting to fight. There's a guy that was very adamant. He wanted to show what he could do out there. And we gave him a chance to show what he could do. And to
he was not taking no for an answer either.
No, he wasn't. To his credit, I mean, he showed up on time for everything. He was there almost on weight, close, gave a good, solid effort, I would say, to try to make the weight, and saw his commitment through. So kudos for that. That is already better than many can say out there. Needs a lot of work. He's a guy that needs to get in the gym. The independent thing is probably not going to be a good route to success. But I will say, built pretty well for a 45er, pretty big, good size for featherweight division. Just got to get those skills reined in. Joseph Hishma rolls on, and that featherweight division is kind of wide open. That we were talking, that's one of the divisions we don't have a champion in yet, and Hishma's certainly putting his name out there in the mix.
Yeah, I was impressed just because Chris Hendrick was smart enough to slow the fight down and to stay the distance and look for openings possibly than to just try to rush it and rush an engagement that quite possibly could have ended the fight much earlier. So I was impressed. Most people go in there and they just want to swing for the fences like they were in a backyard fight or a school hallway fight, and he didn't. He was crafty enough to keep his distance and just try to wait and see if he could get an opening and try to pop a couple of leg kicks out there himself. But I could also tell, I believe there was one that Hishma hit him with a low calf kick, I believe. And it was that you could see that moment where it's like, if you've never experienced one of those, like, it was that, holy shit, those are real. Those really work, like it's that look on your face like, I forgot about those. I forgot that was a move. And I think that got his attention quick too, which may have really done a lot for keeping his distance after that. He didn't want that calf any closer. But, like you said, I'm ready. If this Hishma fight works out for this next show, he's taken his jump up in competition. That is for sure. It'd be a hard one to pick if I had to pick, and I think anybody else that has seen this opponent, will agree once we're able to maybe announce it that this was definitely a step up, and this could be a firefight, man. It could be good.
Stay tuned. Hopefully, we get some confirmation on that by next week's show. Moving on to the middle portion of the card, it was featherweight Muay Thai action as Luis Gonzalez, first representative we've had of the Sakan Muay Thai team out of Ohio, gets a split decision win over Jared King from the Academy of Martial Arts. First time King has fought in several years. Very different style contrast here. The judges had it 29-28. 29-28 and 28-29 Gonzalez. So the split decision, one judge saw one round differently. And watching the fight live, I did have Gonzalez edging that out. Watching it back, I think Jared King got the first 2 rounds. And I would have given that fight to Jared King. Way too close for me to say that anybody got robbed. Super close fight. I'm not saying that by any means. But watching it back, actually went the other way.
Interesting for sure. I will say, I want to preface too, the Sakan group, Luis
Very
Gonzalez,
very good to work with.
yes, Gonzalez, Aldrich, who we'll talk about here in a minute, and their coach that came down, absolutely zero issues with this team.
Love.
Yes, I mean, came straight to weigh-ins. I mean, yes sir, no sir, did their paperwork, got up on scale, hit their weights. We'll see you tomorrow, on time the next day. I mean, didn't ask for a thing, nothing. And, what a pleasure it was to work with this group. But I still felt Gonzalez won, but I'm like you, if they had given Jared King the other one, there's no way I could have sit and said, "Oh my God, what a robbery!" It was a good fight, especially considering Gonzalez is pretty active, and Jared King coming off such a long layoff. That says volumes about where Jared King is in the fight. I would really like to see. I know both Gonzalez and Aldridge both did Thai. Did they indicate that they do MMA, Tim? Or
that team
no?
is all straight. That's
It's,
all they do is straight Thai. Yeah.
Straight Thai. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's good to know because believe me, there's a lot of gyms nowadays that are like that, and it's hard to find the other gym to match them up with. So that may be a really good find for you, Tim.
Yeah, no doubt. I thought that those guys were very. Luis was both guys super technical.
Yeah.
Luis, I thought it really kind of turned it on in the third round. Rewatching it, especially, it seemed like there was a little urgency from his corner to, hey, we got to get after it here this round, and he really turned it on in the third round where Jared was starting to gas a little bit. I thought that Jared was the more active in the first couple rounds, but he was starting to fail a bit in that third round. And Gonzalez a deceptive 0-2, man. That guy's much better than his record.
That's the first thing I said.
Guys,
That was the first thing I said was that 0-2 some bullshit right there.
Yeah, he's some good guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's legit, but I think what I said to you was I want to see the two dudes that beat him.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, moving on, about number 6. It was a light heavyweight Muay Thai fight, a fight that was one of the more talked about in the social media circles when we made the announcement. It was Jonathan Dalton of Modern Gladiator getting the, I guess it would be called a TKO over Brandon Webb from Ring Combat at the 2 minutes into the second round, because we did not start the third round as Brandon Webb was unable to answer the bell due to a foot injury. In a fight that he was likely winning, Dalton was down 2 times in the first round. But tell you what, man, Dalton in the second round, like when you watch it, Dalton may have won the second round, actually. Dalton was really bringing it in the second round. And I think that maybe, Webb, after putting him down 2 times in the first, I think his foot was already hurting at that point, but he was probably like, man, I've almost got this guy out of here at that going into the second round. Let's see if we can't get back out here and put him away. Not able to put him away. In fact, started absorbing a good amount of damage himself in the second round. And, kudos to both guys. Webb's put together, man. Webb's, he's a specimen. He's a scary looking dude. You look at him next to Jonathan Dalton, and everybody's like, man, he's going to kill this guy. We said it. Dalton you're going to have to probably kill him because he will go down, but he will get back up and doesn't stop coming. You can't account for that much heart. Congrats to Jonathan Dalton, who wins his Muay Thai debut. And he told me to get him the toughest motherfuckers I could. So I like his attitude.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, from the get-go, as soon as we posted this guy's picture online, Everybody thought what we were about to do is criminal, and then they walk through the cage, take their shirts off, and then we even get more
Yeah.
pokes in our back.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell are y'all doing? And then, like you said, 2 times in the first round hits the deck, and at that point, everybody's thinking, "Man, it's early. One more drop,
It's
and
over. Yeah.
the fight's automatically over." Had no clue that we were going to see the end of a second round. I would have bet everything that we wouldn't have seen the end of the second round. But Dalton started bringing it, man. He started going after him. What was interesting to me, though, and not finding out until later on, though, was that Brandon Webb's injury was not. It did not happen in the fight. It was actually before the fight.
It was coming in already kind of banged
Yeah,
up.
yeah, he was coming in, and according to the locker room area, I mean, he spent most of the pre-fight back there icing it, just trying to get it numb and hoping to be able to compete. So, kudos to Jonathan Dalton for putting up such a hell of a fight, but then kudos to Brandon Webb too, for never mentioning anything about an injury and never even crossing his mind that he wasn't going to fight. He was going to try to push through it and get through it. But guess what, guys? You picked the Thai fight, Thai kickboxing. So you're going to use those feet and ankles. So it was bound to happen. But, man, Jonathan Dalton, I'm ready to see this kid again, man.
Yeah. I don't think this guy's going to be involved in any boring fights at the very least.
No.
Let's see. Closing out the undercard here. No, we had 2 more on the undercard. Joel, this is our last fight before we had an unexpected timeout. Let's see. It was Joel Aldridge, our second competitor from Sakan Muay Thai, making it a clean sweep for his team as they get a unanimous decision win over TJ Bean from NKI, who came in at 2-0. That hands him his first loss. It was a unanimous decision, 29-28, 29-28, 30-27. And this was a 155-pound Thai fight. So Aldridge gets his first win, much like his teammate Gonzalez, just very technical, very quick, very active. The volume from Aldridge was very impressive. He never really stopped throwing, and when he would throw it was always in combination. Not a whole lot of power or stopping power on those, but just the activity Bean was not able to match. And he made Bean kind of get off of, Bean was the taller, longer guy, and he really didn't fight like it so much, I'm sure. The output from him did not match the output that his team was hoping for, according to his corners afterward. So, hopefully a good learning experience for Bean. He's very, got a lot of talent. I think we'll be seeing him make the move to MMA pretty soon. Aldridge is a player now for sure at 155 area. Yeah, even just at 1-1, he showed off a lot of talent and a lot of ability that I believe will have him hanging with even some more experienced guys.
Yeah, Aldridge's activity just left Bean really uncomfortable. You could tell. Uncomfortable is about the best word I can find. He just he couldn't ever stop for a second, kind of breathe and regroup because Aldridge just kept coming at him. Impressive win for Aldridge, and for me, in the pre-show, I talked a lot about how impressed I was with TJ Bean. So for me, the fact that he beat Bean makes it even more impressive for Aldridge. As you mentioned, though, this was a point. We had one more bout before an intermission, but Mr. Bean was ready for an intermission.
Spilled the beans.
Right then. And the corner did not get the bucket in time. So clean up on aisle 2. But it is interesting, though, that you say TJ Bean may be making that switch to MMA. I think his body style at that weight, his way he's built, guy's in great looking shape. He's tall. If he's got any kind of ground game, TJ Bean could be a handful for somebody.
Moving on to our next bout. We're back to MMA here, lightweight bout. And it was Dylan Vowell of Juggernaut Boxing taking on Stephen Kent out of United Karate Studios. Dylan Vowell, 0-1 coming into this one, but gets his first win with a big knockout. 27 seconds into the first round, a knockout over Stephen Kent. Net Timid Performance of the Night award as well. Stephen Kent falls to 1-2. Kent early in, it was only 27 seconds, but, early in the fight, doing an okay job controlling that range. He had a pretty good amount of reach and size on Val as far as height and reach goes. Flashing that some kicks out to keep him at bay, but once Val was able to kind of close the gap, he showed off some real gnarly power with a big overhand right that put Kent right on out. And even his record up at 1-1, we'd seen him fight Eli Wilson, Weston Wilson's brother, in his debut in what was a absolute war. So this quite the opposite. He went 9 grueling minutes the first time, only 27 seconds this time. And I am hopeful he's ready for a quick turnaround in June, because there's lots of pretty fun fights for Dylan Val.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to talk too long about a 27-second fight. But Val, not cocky, but him and his team let it be known before this fight that this was not going to see a round 2.
They did predict this. Yes.
They did predict it. They let us secretly know their prediction, and that this would not see the end of round 1, and held true. And they let us know that they were right when the fight was over. But
they did indeed, quote, tell us.
Yes, they did. Val's kind of, I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily say he's big for 155, but it did look like he has to cut a little bit.
It was an enjoyable cut for him.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it there. Now, I don't want to say something was hard, but it definitely, you could tell it was not an enjoyable cut for Dylan Val. So, man, what are you? Well, you don't want to say on the air here. Never mind. I'm just sitting here chit chatting with you. I was going to say, what are you thinking for Dylan Val? But
yeah, there's several good options out there. Honestly, if we moved him over to June, then there's a couple guys from that Agogi camp that I think would be fine matches with him. I think he's a guy that will be a nice handful for about anybody you put in there with him.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm trying to picture some people, man, but. I think this kid could be pretty damn good.
They're high on him, that's for sure. His coach Jeff Johnson is very high on him, and there's an argument to be said that he could be 2-0 going into this one. He fought really, and Wilson was a very tough. They were both very tough debuts for each other. Afterward, I heard that from both sides. They're like, "What the fuck, man? Like, it's our first fight. You put us in there with."
Thanks a lot.
They're both saying that more or less. So, I do think 55 is ultimately, if he can get that weight cut down to where it's not so painful.
Not so painful.
He'll do better there, because at 70 he's going to run into some guys with some big reach advantages potentially.
Yeah, for sure. I tell you what though, it's been nice too on this card to see so many people that were kind of 0-1 get their first
win. Yeah,
they weren't like first win because they were debuts. They were guys that started out rough, got a little behind on their record to get their first win. It's been pretty cool. It was cool.
And the blue corner is surging at this point.
Yes,
we had 4 wins to open the night for the red, and at this point things had evened up. It's 4 apiece, and there's momentum going on that up on the porch.
Yep.
All right, moving to the main card. The nitty-gritty, if you will. We had the return of Rambo Joe Long. Muay Thai action here at 160 pounds. Full rules, so we dropped all the pads, except for we put some pads on their elbows, but everything else came off. As he took on James Young from United Karate Studios. Joe Long, now representing Agogi Combatives, looked really good out here ahead of what was going to be his last amateur fight no matter what before his pro debut. Joe gets a unanimous decision across the board, 30-26 it is, all 3 scorecards. Young was down, I want to say maybe in the first or second round, Young was down, but very game. James Young never really stopped coming. He was live, because there were times, even though he was behind, that he would hit Joe, and it did appear to affect Joe to a degree. So, a lot of heart coming from James Young. Joe Long, obviously, wanting to knock off a lot of rust after being out for 2 years, and he got it. He got to do so, I thought, in perfect fashion, getting to go all 3 rounds. It wasn't one of these fights where it was just over in 20-30 seconds. You never really got a feel for being back in there. Got his chin checked a couple times. That was important too, I thought.
Yeah. We said it many times before, and James Young made sure that he obliged Joe Long in knocking the rust off.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. I mean, that dude regardless of what those scorecards said, I mean, he was live all night, and there was time where he would stop Joe Long in his tracks, get him to back up and reset. And there were a couple times, in the fight, I remember watching it live, thinking, "Is Joe hurt? Like
Yeah.
is he resetting, or is he legitimately hurt with that punch?" Because he had some clean ones on Joe. Um, I'm a little torn. I've wanted to see the long-awaited pro debut of Joe Long. Um, the stingy side of me, understanding what this fight was for and what it was about. Um, I think it served that purpose, but I almost kind of want to see one more amateur MMA fight and get in there and have to grapple with someone on the ground. But I know Joe Long is not going to want to hear that. That's just me personally. If I were doing the same thing Joe Long was doing right now, I probably want to just make sure that I was ready to go in the other facets of MMA before. And that would keep us from having to pay him. Yeah.
Oh man! All right, guys. On to our next one. Another of the night award given here.
Yeah.
It
Big
was
boys.
heavyweight MMA action. Technically, the debut for both of these fighters as Rick Randolph out of Chicago, Illinois, took on Blake Mitchell from Team Swift Kick in Nashville. Coach Bernard Robinson in the house, rocking one of Jeff Hobbs' signature glitter jackets and cowboy hat. It was quite the sight to behold.
Making me look bad.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Rick Randolph victorious in this one, third round. I guess we're going to call it a TKO here. A little bit of wonkiness here. We'll get into it, of course. It was 46 seconds into the third round. Rick Randolph, we talked about it in the preview. He come from, the street beef scene. This was his first actual sanctioned fight. Looked much more polished than a typical debut here. I thought he came in great condition, very nice striking, good takedown defense, landed some body kicks repeatedly to the right side of Blake Mitchell that were just painful to watch. Honestly, I'm surprised he never found that liver. Blake Mitchell showed a lot of toughness, obviously a lot of gameness. He himself, gave his fair share of licks out there. Eyes are starting to swell up there in between rounds. It still kept coming, but I'll kind of let you take us through I don't want to call it controversy because there really wasn't any, controversy to the ruling. To tell you the truth, it was really just more a rookie mistake on Blake Mitchell's part that caused a premature ending to this fight in the third round. That said, I think if we'd gone the distance, Randolph was probably comfortably ahead on the scorecards.
Yeah, no controversy as far as an interpretation of the rules. Just kind of just a brain fart mistake. A pre-fight rules meeting, one of the main things that our referees and Gamma make sure that they tell the fighters is don't talk to the ref. Listen for their instructions, obey their instructions. If they're telling you to do something, if they ask you, but don't talk to them. And we got to see Friday night the reason why. So apparently there was a moment where Blake Mitchell and Rick Randolph, the assumption that there was a foul of some sorts between them, yes. No one else saw it, but maybe there was a kick or something that maybe one of them assumed was a low blow. But Blake Mitchell, again, kind of a brain fart because no one but them acknowledged the fact that anything could have happened. But he turned to the ref and kind of waved what looked like waving off the fight. And so the referee, as soon as that happened, what he was saying was, or what his explanation was that he was waving off the foul. He was letting the referee know that it was not a foul, but he used the same hand gestures. And again, mouthpiece in, waving your hands, looking at the ref and talking to him. The ref's only assumption is that you're done. You're getting out of the fight. And so there we go. Lesson 101 as to why when rules meeting is going on and he tells you not to do that, because the assumption was made that that's what's happening. So, but I will say after the initial argument on why is it being stopped, Blake Mitchell and his corner immediately switched gears and you know went straight into straight class and congratulations to the opponent and apologizing for just how it all went down. So um, it was a pleasure having Swift Kick up for this fight. His team, again, just like we talked earlier with the Sakan, very, very classy, the whole night long. And even after this unfortunate event that happened, was very classy in the way they handled it. I do want to also say, because I know Rick Randolph is going to watch this. And how do I know he's going to watch this? Because he immediately went home and he hit that subscribe button on YouTube.
Which you guys should do as well. If you
That's
haven't
right.
at this point, what the fuck?
And Rick Randolph has so far liked, commented, shared everything that we've put up from last Friday night. Everybody else's fight, he has watched it and he has commented on it. That dude is active on the YouTube page. So thank you, Rick Randolph.
Yeah, and Rick, honestly, Rick to me has put himself right up in the mix for the heavyweights. Even with this being only 1-0, I mean, you can see this guy is well beyond 1-0 level.
Well, I think we said it. You say he's put himself right in the mix of the heavyweight division. We really don't have a heavyweight division.
It's a very small division.
Right, but when we watched it, the first thing we said to each other was he could be that kind of cornerstone, centerpiece, whatever you want to call it, to actually start building our heavyweight division.
Yeah.
If you're going to start one, Rick Randolph is a really good foundation to start off with, and just see what we can find, who we can find to bring in to compete with Rick Randolph, and in turn, those people that come in to compete with him, may beat him or be better, but we're finding them. And then once we find a few of them, then they can start fighting each other. And so both these guys, honestly, even Blake Mitchell in the loss, these are two
solid.
These are two good guys that we just don't have a lot of heavyweight action. So just both these guys, the fact that they came up and competed for us, I think are two good cornerstones to try to start really building this division for us.
Both these guys recipients of Fight of the Night honors. Moving on to our feature bout. This is the one that was like the low-hanging fruit, I think, for, people to say was going to be, Fight of the Night. And it was very, very good. It was Corey Farmer representing Agogi Combatives for the first time, moving on to 3-1 in this middleweight MMA fight with a unanimous decision win over Tristan Scarborough out of Hobbs Jackson Wink. Scarborough falls to 4-4 now. It was 30-27, 29-28, 30-27. So two judges had it 3-0. One judge had gave Scarborough a round. I'm assuming that would have been the third round, potentially. I thought Scarborough was coming on in that third round a little bit, but overall great performance by Corey Farmer. Got the takedowns when he wanted. For the most part, Scarborough couldn't stop the takedowns till the end of the fight, but he was doing a pretty nice job of getting out of bad spots. He was mounted more than once where he was able to just hulk up out of that shit in reverse position. So good performance from both guys. Spoke to Tristan afterward. He said, he really is going to take a couple months, get his training right, pick a weight class, settle into that weight class, and see where he can improve at this point. I know he doesn't want to drop under 500 here. It's fought who's who, of the weight class. Tristan has fought very, very tough competition. So still showing improvement, I think, from fight to fight. Corey Farmer, we talked about that middleweight division and how we kind of had those five guys that were kind of in the talks right now. I think with this win over Scarborough, that kind of moves us into a kind of a foursome of guys that at the top of that 185 division between Corey Farmer, Zane Havener, Jacob Adams, and Josh Booker. Josh Booker, of course, teammates now with Corey Farmer, so that makes things interesting. But Farmer said in his post fight he's ready for a title fight. We talked to him afterward. He was interested in maybe jumping on that Nashville card. You and I maybe thinking more towards a headlining spot at the Joe, potentially for July. Regardless, I think Corey Farmer's put himself into position to fight for that 185 title. It's just kind of figuring out who the best opponent would be. That Zane Havener, Jacob Adams are the two that come to mind quickest. Zane Havener with a win already over Corey Farmer, so that complicates things even more so to a degree. Josh Cate was on the call for this one. He is Jacob Adams' coach. He's already messaged me today asking for that fight in July. So there's options here, Jeff. There's options, and all of them I think work out to be a great fight for a 185 title.
Yeah, man. Well, I mean, talking about the fight first, because there's so much more to talk about when it comes to where we're going with this. I mean, I would definitely like to see Tristan pick his weight class and stay in it, because I think he gets too down on himself when a fight doesn't work out, and his immediate reaction is to, see if it works out better at the other weight class. And it's hard to, like you said, to just really settle in and work on your craft when you're bouncing. That 185 to 205 is a big jump in, the size and the speed of your opponent between those two weight classes right there.
And he's just falling right in that between where, and the power as well. I think Tristan at 205 has shown a lot more just like pop than he has at 185.
And I will say we can't ignore he did miss weight on this fight. I don't think, like the guy we talked about earlier, Val, the weight cut to 85 is not enjoyable for Tristan Scarborough at all. And that was even with, kind of just barely missing it, but, not making it. So if that is the weight class he's going to stay at, then, he's going to need to get that down pat. But maybe that should be his indication that, 205 might be the best home for him. He's healthier. He's stronger. He doesn't have to concentrate so much on the diet and the weight cut, and can train more, focusing on game plan and the fight. So, maybe that's the home for him. But, Corey Farmer, you could tell even just a short time at Agoge, some changes in his game. What I noticed the biggest change was listening to his corner. He followed instructions really well. One of the things I watch for, it's just kind of a pet peeve, not pet peeve, but when you got overhooks and you're on your back, you've got overhooks, and one of the hardest things for a fighter to do is when the coach is yelling, get your underhooks, and you're thinking, I'm not letting go of his arms. He's going to punch me. Mm-hmm. Is going for those underhooks, because you don't want to let go of that arm and open up to possibly getting pounded in the face. But I mean, he immediately did it when he had that overhook position, and they said, get your right underhook. I mean, he would do it. He would do it immediately. So I was impressed with how he listened to his corner. He still
had was in that Kimura.
Yeah. Oh God, I was getting worried. I was getting worried there, just because we've been in situations where we've heard arm bones pop that close up. But he was still Corey Farmer in the sense that a lot of things he just kind of muscled through at a pure just grit, willpower, and country strong muscle. He had a lot of like you said, positions on Tristan where he had mount and things like that. He still needs to do a little bit with just being heavy on his hips, because he was also then able to get swept fairly easy when Tristan wanted to. So just little technical things that I know that Jim will get right for him. Looking forward to the future, like you said, the biggest thing about this kind of round robin that you've got is the fact that Zane Havener has already defeated Corey Farmer and has a win over him. And then you throw in the fact that Booker is now teammates with Farmer. It makes it a little wonky there. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to feel. I kind of feel like maybe. Maybe Adams and Farmer and I think with the win over Farmer already, that maybe Zane is already in that title picture, and we're just trying to maybe kind of figure out who it's against more so. But you got to do it right with Booker and Farmer being teammates now. So, yeah, I don't know about that one, Tim. I don't know how you work that one out, other than like you said, maybe Adams and Farmer and Booker and Havener.
Yeah.
And maybe Adams and Farmer happens in Knoxville in July, and maybe Havener and Booker happens in Nashville for the strap, and then Farmer, if he wins, and if Zane wins, maybe we get the rematch then, and one's got the belt at this point.
At that point, right?
Yeah, if Booker beats Havener and has the belt, then you still have the option of, if Farmer has won and things work out. If he doesn't, I mean, if Adams wins, then it works out. But if Farmer wins, then hey guys, it's a stalemate for right now.
You're right.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting scenarios there in that 185 division, which is one of the only what we got, 25, 45, 85, and heavyweight. Those are the four divisions that are still without a champion. So hopefully those will start working themselves out. Get on to the co-main event of the evening. First two title fights. Tyler Jones, United Karate Studios, successfully retains his Aries Muay Thai title, super lightweight division, as he gets a split decision win over David Isaacs over NKI. And man, don't get much closer to this one. It was a split. 48-47, 47-48, 48-47. Once again, 3-2 on all judges' scorecards. One judge had one round different. That was all there was here. Man, tell you what, thought Isaacs really came out of the gate strong. As we talked about it before, a bit of a slow starter for Tyler Jones. As promised, he began to step on the gas every progressive round. We got through all 5 rounds, and I think the third round was very pivotal. I mean, the first 2 rounds I thought was Isaacs. The last 2 rounds I had for Jones. The third round was super close. I mean, super close. I would probably, I don't know. I guess I'm good with going with Jones here. Nobody got robbed. Nobody got robbed. Super close. Hey, one thing we got to see out of this one, it was Tyler Jones got some battle scars on this one, man. He was cut in 2 different places, cut in 2 different spots on this one, battled through it, gave Mark Laws a little bit of work during this fight, and also just got the x-rays from David Isaacs, broke his hand in the second round, his right hand. And that would explain the decreasing output that we saw as the fight went into the later rounds.
Yeah, the thing about Tyler Jones is he's not upset that he took damage. That fucking kid loves it. He loves it. He loves getting hit. He loves being in a war. I think he enjoys being in a war more than he does just kind of the walk away fights. But wow, split decision. David Isaacs, I thought was crazy. I think a lot of people thought were crazy. Just winning his second fight, calling out Tyler Jones, whose record. What the hell was it, Tim? Like,
he's 6-0-1 coming in, 7-1 now. The one draw coming to Justin Jamar. Yeah,
right. I mean, that many fights under his belt, that dominant finish, the liver kick, the spinning back kick that he had the last time.
They were ready for that.
Yeah, not embarrassed to say that. I just didn't. I knew Isaacs was good, gonna be good. I just didn't think it was gonna happen yet. And holy shit. I mean, to the point where when that third round started, I thought at that point, I was like, if Tyler Jones has one more round like the first 2, this is now about to
slip away.
It's going to get to that point where it's out of reach. Going to a judge's scorecard, like he'll have to finish. And it took him a while. It took him a lot longer, I think, to get going. And it was because of that aggressiveness and that intensity that Isaacs brought at him. But Tyler Jones does what Tyler Jones does. And that's when he starts warming up, the punches just get dug a little deeper in your ribs. The uppercuts just get a little nastier and a little harder. And he starts to wear on your body. He starts to inflict actual pain in his punches, and I think that's what That's what actually starts slowing the opponent down. Not necessarily that Tyler is picking it up, but he's starting to slow his opponent down, which then in turn makes it look like he's picking it up. But it's just, I don't know. It's just the most ruthless punches because he just digs in so deep. He literally punches through you is what he tries to do. But holy shit. I mean, it was co-main event for a reason. And what a damn show that they put on. And it's cliche to say that David Isaac's stock grew in this loss, but I mean, that's the fuck what happened. Yeah. I mean, you can't watch that kid's performance at 2-0 going for, this title fight here and not be impressed with what he was able to do with, Tyler Jones. And split decision shows you he very easily could have walked away and stripped Tyler Jones of that title. And we could be having a completely different conversation right now if just one judge had felt strong enough about one round differently.
Well, the Isaacs is going to be moving on to MMA, I believe, after this one. So it'll be interesting to see how he fares there. Talk to Tyler's dad, Travis. They are going to go do the IKF Worlds in July, and so we'll see how he does. Dows down there. I would imagine he's got as good a chance as any as taking that thing home. Best of luck to him, and hopefully we can see Tyler back here in the fall in the Aries cage. That brings us to our main event of the evening for the Aries Light Heavyweight Championship. It was Zane Burton representing a Gogi combative successfully defending his title against Wolves Den patriarch Adam Silvey, also 3-0 coming in. It was I guess we had two weird rulings here. I guess this would have been a submission. This would have been a verbal submission. I don't know exactly. I want to say that they had to announce it as a TKO, but he did indeed tap. It's just we didn't have a great angle on this to see exactly what it was he tapped to on video. Now, sitting from where we were sitting watching it live, it felt like there was like a forearm kind of across the throat.
I think he said, jaw. I think the verbiage was him saying, "I can't see," or something like that. I can't.
It's hard to put that into an official ruling.
Yeah. I think they said verbal submission. I think that's actually what they told me because I had to ask when I went in, like, what was it? What happened? Because it was on the other side of the cage and Zane had top control, so all we could see was Zane's back.
Yeah.
But I think the verbiage they said was him telling the ref, "I can't see," or maybe even telling Zane, "I can't see," and Zane stopped.
Yeah. Either way, you hash it. It was Zane Burton moving to 4-0. Silvey in his retirement fight drops to 3-1. Always a pleasure to work with Adam. One of the easier guys out there to work with. Always brings a nice crowd. Always pushes his shit. And acts like a professional. So hopefully we get to continue seeing some of his fighters, at least out of Wolves Den, come into events. Zane Burton now 4-0. I'm not sure what is next for him, but never too shy. He was, he didn't seem surprised in this result at all. It seemed like he had a lot of stuff going on in his personal life in the lead up to this one, and he managed to put that all aside long enough to handle business in there.
Yeah. Definitely interested to see where Zane Burton goes. Adam Silvey would be a guy that if he's ever interested, I think I'm safe to speak for you, Tim, that if he ever wanted to kind of get into, some sort of position or in a job, with the promotion, I think he'd be a really good guy.
Yeah, he's invested in seeing things do
well. And very much, I think, when given a task or a job, will approach it very professionally. And so, maybe somewhere down the road, Adam Silvey's, enjoys coming to Knoxville enough that he could come in and maybe give us a hand on fight nights as an employee of such. At the end of the day, this is how Adam Silvey wanted to go out, win, lose, or draw. He wanted to fight a tough opponent. He wanted a shot at a title. I think he checked all the boxes aside from, obviously I'm sure he would have rathered a victory in it. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I think the fight itself checked all the boxes that he was looking to check, before he walked away. He's not a young man. He's definitely a young man to me and you because we're old. Mm-hmm. But Zane Burton, like you said, even with some admitted distractions, apologizing. I wasn't as focused during the build up. I wasn't able to have a presence on social media because I had so much going. Hey, sorry, my ticket sales are a little down. Just had so much going on. He was still able to go in there and implement his game plan and come away with a victory, an impressive victory at that. So it'll be interesting. Zane doesn't strike me as a person yet. I don't think he has pushed you too hard, Tim, about any possibility of a professional debut anytime soon. He seems
No.
pretty okay with still feeling out some amateurs out there and maybe continuing for a few fights, upping the caliber and quality of opponent. That's good for us. I think ultimately it's good for Zane too in the long run.
Yeah, we're gonna probably have to start digging outside of our area for his next one because the 205 division is also fairly shallow at this point. Not a whole lot of names jump to mind as far as guys that we've been seeing recently. Uh, as would be guys that I think would give him a much of a run. So we're gonna have to probably broaden our scope a little bit on getting the next one in for Zane, but I'm sure we will find something suitable.
I think so. The good thing is we co-promote with another couple of regional shows
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
maybe we can start farming some talent both ways too.
I'll be
Uh,
watching some 205 fights there for the next few shows.
Absolutely, we'll do a little farming out, a little trading.
Of course, that is going to do it for this one. We seem to have put this into a nice, neat little hour for you guys. It looks like that was Aries 7. You catch all these videos here on YouTube, so you can see exactly what we're talking about. Make sure you subscribe and like the channel because here in about a week, we're going to be putting the Aries 6 videos out. I know it's odd to be going in reverse, but a lot of really badass pro fights on that Aries 6 card. That's a card that it's been talked about for weeks afterwards. So I'm excited to be putting those out on YouTube for you guys because we know that there's some badass fights that you guys are going to enjoy.
I'm happy to put them out for all the people that keep messaging me pissed off.
Right, we're getting so close.
As soon as we started putting 7 up, I mean, they came out of the woodwork. What the hell?
Yeah.
Why we're 6? We're 6.
Right. Well, 6 is coming soon. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified when they do. Make sure you hit our social media up as well. The Aries Fight Series on Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. Jeff, anything you got before we get out of this bad boy?
No, we get some rest because the next month is going to be hell. It's going to be nonstop.
It really is. It's going to be busy. We got a lot of fight announcements coming. The aforementioned Joseph Hishman fight that we were talking about a little bit earlier has been confirmed while we've been recording. So stay tuned for us to
post that tomorrow.
Post that one tomorrow on our social media. It's a good one. It's going to be a fun one, I promise. So till then, till next week, for Jeff Hobbs, I'm Tim Lloyd. We're signing out for another edition of the 0 Hour. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you next time.
See you guys.